Let us begin.
What's your name?
My name is Ian Head.
Great. And how long have you been interested in cars?
Oh boy. For as long as I can remember, I've got pictures of me as a young child playing with my toy cars. Um, I've just always been fascinated with cars for as long as I can remember.
And where did that passion come from? Like, is there anything specific?
Well, my dad has always been into cars. Um, Ever since where he got it from, I don't really know because his dad was a musician, um, and you know, for some reason he got his love for cars out of nowhere. It seems like, but he was always interested in a lot of the foreign stuff, which back when he was younger wasn't as popular. He was back, into Jaguar, coupes and roadsters, and he had a Lotus, bunch of Austin Healey's, uh, had a Ferrari for a short time. So he's always had a huge passion for cars, and our our the types of cars we both like are a little different. There are a lot of cars we both share passion for. He's more into like the English stuff, which for a while I kind of went through the muscle car stuff, the German import stuff. But I actually am now driving a Jaguar now, so I'm kind of going the same route my dad did. Kind of getting more interested in the English cars.
Did your dad drive a Jaguar at all?
Yeah, he had let's see, three Jaguars he's had, I think. Um, and I mean, he had, some people are maybe familiar with the E-Type Jaguars, the XK140. He had a really old, one of the first body style, the S-Type. And these were back when these cars were, not so many people cared about them. You could get them cheaper. Now, almost every one of these neat cars that he's owned is now going for over $100,000 if you got it today. But he got to enjoy these cars before they were such collector's items and got to have fun with them.
So, so that's like where your passion came from, which is, I mean, are you? I guess when it comes to like your enthusiasm of cars, are you more of just like a spectator, just like to look and know a lot about the cars, just like know a lot of book knowledge? Are you actually do you like to drive them? Like which
Oh, I mean, every chance I get, I'll get behind the wheel of the car. Of course, there are some cars out there that I'm fascinated with. That, of course, I'll be lucky if I ever, get to sit inside one. But, any chance I get behind the wheel of a car. I love test driving cars, driving just neat, exotic stuff when I get the chance.
Yeah, so you're more of a Tony Stark than I don't know. Someone basically is just like a spectator, likes to know a lot about cars.
Oh yeah, I'm very hands on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like, have you driven any interesting, like, what in your experience with driving? What's the what car, I guess, is your favorite out of the cars, I guess, that you've driven or owned?
I've driven probably the most fun cars I've driven. I've ridden in a lot of neat cars, but of course the owners never let me drive them. Usually, I drove an NSX years ago. I don't remember what all the guy had done to it. It was really tuned up. His wife had a Viper, and so he had to make sure his NSX was as fast as the Viper. So it was a pretty quick car. And then about a month ago, I went and test drove it was a supercharged GTO, and that thing was a beast. That thing was fun. Almost bought it, but I have too many cars right now. So
How many cars do you
I've got a Jaguar S-Type, which is my daily driver. And I've got two BMWs. I've got a 525i 95. It's a kind of an older sedan. And then I've got an old 83 6 Series BMW. It's not running right now. Yeah, the 5 Series BMW, it's a totally different feel from the Jag. The Jag's a bigger, more luxury car. It's my daily driver. Whereas the BMW, it's it's an older car, so it's more temperamental, but it's the driving that thing, suspension's really stiff. I do autocross and stuff with that one. So
So, most people when they're looking to buy a car, there's a school of thought that you should do a whole bunch of independent research, but it seems like a lot of people have a friend that they go to for like information. I know, so like if when people come to you and they're like, I'm looking to buy a car, like what's like, how would you tell them what to look for?
well, I mean nowadays some of the newer stuff, it's now getting to the point where I don't know a lot about it. So there's all kinds of forums and stuff out there on the internet. So nowadays you can usually look on a forum, find out what type of repairs you're going to have to be looking forward to, well, expecting at what point of the mileage of the car. I've always bought high mileage cars because me and my dad have always been usually pretty good about looking the cars over and kind of telling, we can look at the oil, make, kind of tell if it's been changed regularly, check everything, check it over really thoroughly for leaks and stuff like that. And usually I've had pretty good luck. I will say with my Jag, I bought it with higher miles, and I honestly wasn't as educated on the car as I should have been, and found out the transmission was going bad, which apparently is a $6,000 transmission, which I didn't know when I bought the car. So that was a fun surprise to get, in less than a week of owning the car. So,
but other than that, I understand you got the car for a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I did.
Which might have been the reason.
Yes, yeah. Overall, with all the repairs I spent on it and the, cost of the car itself, I mean, I got a decent deal. Just wasn't a steal like I thought I got when I bought it. So.
Okay, so. So you talk about like older cars, and you say you and your dad usually buy cars with higher miles, but like what makes you guys want like cars, like used cars? Because a lot of people say only buy new cars, but is there any like advantage to buying a used car over buying a new one?
Well, I mean, the used car, the older it gets, the higher the miles, the more likely you're going to have problems with it. So, if you don't know what you're looking for, you might be better off getting something newer, but I wouldn't say necessarily new. There's all kinds of deals out there for pre-owned, leased vehicles that have a few miles on them, sometimes, still under warranty that you can get. Because when you buy a brand new car, the minute you take the keys and drive it off the lot, the car is depreciated by so much. Now I know there are the people that want the newest model and it just came out, and okay, if it's that important to you, you've got the money to do that, sure, or you want to get in that debt. That's that's up to you. But my dad has never bought a brand new car. I don't ever plan to buy a brand new car, even if I'm rich someday and owning supercars. I'm gonna go find some guy that has one parked in the garage somewhere that only has like 6,000 miles on it. Buy it used. It's going to be expensive, but a whole lot cheaper than getting a brand new one. So
exactly. Yeah. And I guess along that same thread, sometimes when you're looking for used cars, you'll notice that a lot of the high end cars have lower prices compared to what they were, just 3 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Is there any reason for that? Like, more expensive cars depreciate faster?
I'm not really sure what the answer to that is. I don't know, because like my Jag that I'm driving now.
Yeah, how expensive was that when it came out?
It was between $50,000-$60,000 when it came out. When that model, I have an 05 right now, and I paid about maybe a fifth of the price on that when everything is said and done with transmission, all that stuff. Fifth or sixth of the price. So, and I mean, I don't know if it's because maybe there's a lower market for that because repairs are higher on something more luxurious like that. or the niche, that niche of people, that the type of people that buy those kind of cars. Maybe the people that like those kind of cars can actually afford the new ones. So I don't really know a good answer for that, but yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize how cheap they can get some of these cars. Maybe they do, and they just don't know what they're getting into with getting one.
I know one of the biggest things with buying used cars over new is I know a lot of parents are buying them for their children first drivers, and a lot of them has to do with safety. Since you've always driven used cars, like have you ever like come across, like, you ever had any close calls where a newer car would have, I don't know, like, I guess, have you ever been in an accident, first of all?
I got bumped once. Somebody rear-ended somebody that was behind me, and their car bumped into my Beamer. And there was really no noticeable damage, but I went and got the estimate and took the $230 check for some scratches in the paint that aren't even noticeable. Yeah. So I mean, that's really it. I've never really been in a wreck. Well, I guess when I was a kid, I've been in a wreck riding in a car. I've been in a couple wrecks as a passenger riding, but I've never myself been driving and been in a wreck before. So.
Yeah, and you said you like those high performance vehicles, but like, have you had any close calls? Any
I've had some scary moments where I've and a rear wheel drive car that has way too much power than it should, and you're at 70 miles an hour and you don't think it's gonna you think you're good, and you gun it, and the car still brakes traction and fishtails on you, and that can be a little scary. A couple years ago, I had a little Mitsubishi Eclipse. That was my daily driver. It was a 2001, the 4-cylinder. Really not a bad little car, but nothing super fancy. But it was a fun little get around car. And I drove the crap out of that thing. But I remember one time I was on 635, and I was taking the Skillman exit, and I'd slowed down to take the exit, so I was going now about 105, whereas I was going a lot faster before that. And there was a little bit of a bend in the road that I didn't see because my windshield was dirty and it was nighttime. So I came up on it really fast, and so I jerked the wheel hard, and of course the car started going sideways, and then started trying to correct it, and I came really close to the curb where it dropped off back onto the highway, and I somehow managed to turn the car back the other way, but I barely scraped it with my wheel. There's a big gouge. I saved the wheel, but took a big chunk out of the wheel. But I mean, after I got done, I realized, I was still holding my phone in my hand, in my right hand, and I just, my left hand was, trying to control the car, and I didn't really think anything of it until the next day I realized one of my friends was in the car with me, and I felt really bad because I was driving pretty carelessly, and I had a passenger in the car, and I'd been texting before that, and so I felt really bad about that, and I kind of little more careful after that with my driving. I still drive fast, but I mean, I guess I'm a little more cautious now.
Well, clearly you're a terrible driver.